Okay, so here we are. To make a scatter plot and find a trend for the data. Okay, so we're going to choose a scale along each axis to represent the two sets of data. So the two sets of data that we have, we've got age and years, okay, and then the height. And you're probably wondering, well, how do I know which to put there? Why didn't we put height here and then why didn't we put age over here and then height here? Well, if there's an obvious dependent variable, well then it usually goes on the y-axis. We talked about that in class. So your height, for the most part, is going to depend on whatever age you are. Okay, so because it kind of makes sense that if you're not real tall, then you might not be real old, and if you're taller, then obviously you're a little older. But that isn't always proved to be true. But for the most part, you could expect that your height is going to depend on how old you are. So if I say that this 11-year-old is 55 inches, what has happened here is we go to 11 years old and then move upward to about 55 inches. That's this right here. Okay, so that's why there's a point right there. And so all of this has pretty much been graphed for you. Like this 10-year-old is 55 inches. So if I go over to 10 years old and I go up to about 55 inches, you're going to see there's a point right there. So that's where all of these data points are coming from. It's this data. So like let's take this guy right here. He's 8 years old and he's 50 inches tall. So I'll go 8 years old and I'll go up to 50 inches and we're right there. See, so that's where these data points are coming from. So all of these are already nicely graphed for you into a scatter plot over here because you've already gotten some practice creating scatter plots on the first questions. So this one we're really focusing on the questions. So we're going to locate the ordered pair on the graph, and that's kind of like what I was doing over here. Each one of these is an ordered pair. And is there a trend? So there is a trend. You see my line of best fit right here is kind of following my trend right there, and it looks like it's going upward like that. So there is a trend. So for that one I would say yes, there's a trend. Do both sets of values increase? Well, let's see. As like this guy right here, he's 3 years old and he's a little bit less than 40 inches tall, and then this person is 7 years old and he's a little less than 50 inches tall, and then this guy is 14 and he is up here above 60 inches tall. So yeah, they both are increasing. As someone's age increases, that means that their height is also increasing. So do both sets of values increase? They do. Does one decrease as the other increases? Well, no. That wouldn't. My answer to that one would have to be no for this question right here, because as someone gets older, that doesn't mean that they're getting shorter. See, that would be as one increases, the other decreases. That would be a negative correlation, but that's not happening here. If neither occurs, there is no trend. So in this case, we know that's not taking place. Okay, if neither occurs. And we also know that this is not taking place, so I can scratch that out. Alright, if there's a trend, draw a trend line that closely fits the data. So you see this one is already drawn for you. Okay, the trend line closely fits that data. It's kind of like in the middle of all the data. And so if you're wondering, well, what kind of correlation is this? It's considered a positive correlation. And the reason why is the older someone gets, so as age increases, their height also increases. So as age increases, height increases. So as one variable goes up, the other variable also goes up. So that is a positive correlation because both variables are moving in the same direction.